Hey, what's going on, nation? Before we dive into today's video, I want to thank all of you for liking and applying the tips I gave you in the chest video. Not only did you guys try out the tips, but many of you also reported exactly 67% more chest growth after just a few days, which is amazing. But in all seriousness, a few of you actually did comment that you had already been applying my technique before watching the video, which I was actually very happy and impressed to hear. And for those of you who tried it for the first time, I was pumped to see that you were able to train your chest more efficiently and more effectively as well. The percentage might be complete BS for clickbait and jokes, but the techniques I'm going to teach you in this series will help you train harder and more efficiently, which will lead to more muscle stimulation and growth. So smash that like button if you want to see more. As for today, we're going to utilize some new techniques to help you grow your back. Now, we know that a well-rounded back workout includes both rowing and vertical pulling exercises. In fact, you can easily get away with doing only 2 exercises for your back, such as weighted pull-ups and T-bar rows, which I explain in this video right here. But what if we could perfect those movement patterns with 2 universal tips? Well, we can. Tip number 1, perfect your rowing technique. And this goes for any variation of the row. In order to truly activate your back, you need to pay attention to your shoulder blades and lower back during the concentric and eccentric portion of any exercise that you do. If you're not slightly bending forward and protracting your scapula during the eccentric portion of your repetitions, you're missing out on a huge opportunity for strength and muscle growth. That's because this technique will better target your rhomboids, rear delts and traps, and all those muscles are responsible for moving the shoulder blades. Believe it or not, keeping your shoulder blades stiff during the movement will only activate those muscles for stabilization purposes, and they won't really be doing any of the actual work. Let's take the seated cable row, for example. Unfortunately, most trainers teach to stay upright and just pull your arms back into scapular retraction. But this is only half of the movement, guys. As you bring your arms forward, you need to fully protract your scapula and slightly lean forward with your chest up. This is the only way you can maximize the stretch on all the muscles in your back. And if you can't keep your chest up as you slightly lean forward, you have to lower the weight and learn proper range of motion, especially if you've never done this before. You guys have to understand that if you've been training for a while now, only staying upright the entire time, your muscles have only been getting stronger through that range of motion. So as soon as you start to lean forward and protract your scapula, your body's going to freak out a bit until the weaker parts of your back catch up. I also want to quickly showcase this technique when applied to a bent over row, as I'm sure the majority of you will be using this exercise in your back workouts. The seated cable row was just easier to show visually what was going on with my tips. So apply the same form, guys. As you lower the weight, make sure you protract your scapula and slightly bend over a bit more while keeping your chest up as much as you can until you feel a deep stretch in your lats before rowing the barbell back up. I also recommend taking advantage of a bit of momentum or cheat reps on your last few repetitions of each set so you can really overload your back and focus on a heavy eccentric. And lastly, if your lower back hurts on this, it's for 2 reasons. Number 1, instead of sitting back and letting your legs and hips support the weight of your upper body and the barbell, you're bending over and letting all that weight rest directly on your lower back. And number 2 could possibly be that you're actually getting really strong and your core is failing before your back muscles, in which now you should probably be wearing a belt to help you stabilize throughout your sets. Now, before we jump into the next technique, I want you all to download my app, Muscular Strength, and become a platinum member. This gives you access to all my programs, my meal tracking app, exclusive content, and above all else, this is your best way to support me so I can provide excellent content on a weekly basis for all of you. And tip number 2, perfect your pulling technique. Now that we've mastered rowing, we got to talk about vertical pulling. You see, the problem with vertical pulling for most people is actually pulling vertically. And what I mean by this is that most people tend to lean back and turn the pulling motion into more of a rowing motion. Let's take the lat pull down for example. During this exercise, you need to stay upright during the entire movement and start the exercise with your back completely disengaged. But this is only achieved by fully locking out at the top and letting your scapula rotate up and out, similarly to the dead hang portion at the bottom of a pull-up. Then once in place, engage the weight only with your lats to stop pulling down the bar by pulling your shoulder blades down and back without bending your elbows. It's only when you get to this point that you're ready to start vertically pulling. Now, as a beginner watching more advanced lifters in the gym, you're not going to be able to see this transition because it happens so fast during each rep. So it will be up to you to practice this until it feels natural, and only then are you ready to start pulling more efficiently on all your pulling movements. But don't just practice this on the lat pull down machine, guys. Try hanging from a pull-up bar and practice there as well. Be sure to subscribe and tap that notification bell so YouTube knows you guys actually enjoy my content. And just in case you forgot, smash that like button too, because more likes means more people will see my videos, and that means more gains for everyone. And as always, more good stuff coming soon. Hey guys, did you miss the last video in this series on chest? If so, just click the playlist link over here, and if you're having a hard time figuring out which program to follow to maximize your results at home or at the gym, check out my program selector tool below. Later, guys.